Good morning. Welcome to the, let's start at the beginning. Well, welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Orlando, that I know. And I also know that I am Karen Ramberg, a member of this congregation. So that part I know. And that it's a beautiful morning, and we welcome all of you, whether you're here in person with us in the sanctuary or online. We welcome you. Today in service, we are joined by the Reverend Jennifer Johnson, the Reverend Margalie Belizaire. In addition, we have Ted and Linnea Nelson. We will have Patty Reynolds will be coming up, and actually we'll have a speaker from the Adult Literacy League. And last but definitely not least, our own music director, Aubrey Connelly-Candelario. We welcome all to join us as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, a faith which draws us into a community of justice seekers and with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You are welcome here regardless of your color, your national origin, your gender, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, religious background. You are welcome here. Families, we're so glad to have you here today. After the Words for All Ages, we'll sing a song, and you're welcome to escort your children to the lobby, where we'll have our folks who take care of our children, and we'll entertain them, play with them during the rest of the service. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are a non-creedal community. We do not subscribe to a specific set of beliefs. We live by a covenant that encourages ethical behavior, affirms democracy, celebrates the worth and dignity of each individual, and celebrates and brings us together in search for truth and meaning. We welcome you. For more information about our congregation, please go to orlandouu.org or email welcometeam@orlandouu.org. We have a few special announcements today. First of all, thank you to everyone who joined us yesterday, either here in the sanctuary or online, to celebrate the installation of Reverend Margalie as our settled minister. Thank you to all the volunteers and guests that made that such a special event full of love and celebration, where First Unitarian got a chance to embrace Reverend Margalie, and she's embraced us right back. So thank you all. We also have a special service coming up this week, and that's going to be Thursday night, April 14th at 7 p.m. It's based on the Tenebrae service, which is a religious service of lament. It's a tradition of Western Christianity held Tenebrae services during the 3 days prior to Easter. And it is characterized by the gradual extinguishing of candles and by the strepitus or loud noise at the end of the service that takes place in almost complete darkness. You will be able to participate in this service either here in the sanctuary or by Zoom online. If you want to participate via Zoom, please use the link that we use for the regular Sunday service. So again, that's going to be Thursday, 7 p.m., and here in the sanctuary or online via Zoom using the service link. All other announcements are going to be on the displayed either before the service, as they were, or again after the service. If you have any questions, you can also look at our weekly update, and that will provide all the information. Again, thanks so much for being here to share this service with us today. Whether you're here in person or online, we welcome you. Now, let's get started.
Please say the words with me as we light our chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share.
Please stand and bow to your spirit and sing with us the opening hymn, Gather the Spirit.
Trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit. Chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Beloveds, I am so glad to be here with you this morning following a wonderful installation celebration. Yes. I'm grateful for you in this community and to be engaging in this important work of ministry with all of you. I'm also glad to introduce our guest preacher to you. These are the facts. Reverend Jennifer Johnson is an ordained UU minister and is currently serving the First Parish Unitarian Universalist Church in Bridgewater, Mass. During her ministerial training, she served congregations in Bedford and Chelmsford, Massachusetts, and was a learning fellow with the Church of the Larger Fellowship, or CLF. Her ministry draws on past experiences in such diverse fields as literature studies, mental health, nonprofit communications, and childbirth coaching. She lives with her family in southern Massachusetts. In addition to the facts, Jennifer is a trusting and loving friend of mine and a faithful companion in ministry. So this is our guest preacher this morning. And now I call us to worship with the words of Reverend Dr. Rebecca A. Savage. Welcome, sweet soul. Welcome, sweet soul, to this place of renewal and hope. Here we welcome your tender places and yearnings to be fully present. Welcome, sweet soul, to this place of meaning and belonging. Here, we welcome your questions and wonderings on the journey toward wholeness. Welcome, sweet soul, to this place of compassion and heart. Here, we welcome you, all of you, and we invite you in as you are, as we are. Here, we welcome you to renew your connection to the Spirit of life. Renew your relationship with the sacred, the interdependent web of all existence. Welcome, sweet soul. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. Today's Time for All Ages story, I'd like to invite you to a Time for All Ages story that has the most amazing pictures, and they'll be different for everyone here. These pictures will be images you create with your own mind and that arise from your inner wisdom as we explore the Sabbath. What Sabbath means, a time of deep rest and inner contemplation, and what it means for each of us. So let's begin by getting comfortable and breathing 3 cleansing breaths together. With the first one, let's breathe in for 1, and as we breathe out, say the word just in your mind. As you breathe in again for 2, add a word to after just, either just be, just breathe, just live. And on our 3rd time, let's breathe in again and breathe out just with your word. Then if you're comfortable, close your eyes or soften your gaze. And with your next breath in, invite you to imagine a scene, a beautiful scene that is just the most deeply restful and calming scene that you can imagine. And see yourself in this scene. Imagine exactly what you want it to be. Perhaps a scene outdoors, a special place in your home, a place that you've visited once or perhaps often. Just choose a place that brings you peace and comfort and you feel called to rest your soul. What are you doing in this space that provides this kind of solace? What is there that feels comforting to you? What is giving you a break from daily life, either from the mundane or from the stress? Who else is in the scene with you? Or are you alone? Are you at rest or active, perhaps walking on a beach or engaged in a sport or sitting in contemplation? What do you personally need in this space that you have created that will allow you the deep inner rest that you need in order to renew and feel blessed? Invite whatever or whoever that is into the scene. Perhaps you need a book, friends or family, or simply long stretches of time. And while remaining in the scene, do what you need to do to give Sabbath to your body, perhaps tightening and loosening the muscles in your neck, your shoulder, your arms, your legs. Do what you need to rest strong emotions, perhaps inviting compassion into your heart, whether for yourselves or for others. Do what you need to do to soothe your soul in this scene. And if you're unsure, ask what you need and make it a holy experience. You can ask this of some symbol in the scene, a tree, a book, or an imaginary spirit guide. Whatever or whoever is in your scene, ask what your soul needs to fully rest. And now I invite you to call your body, mind, and spirit to return fully to this space and thank whoever or whatever gave you insight into the Sabbath that you need today. As you return to the present, hold on to this deep understanding of how rest will allow you to recover, to move forward, to answer the call of justice and love with a full heart and a ready body. And let's now awaken our voices as we sing our children's song, This Little Light of Mine, as our children head to the lobby for outdoor fellowship.
Good morning. Sandy Pollock here again, co-chair with Cindy Schleier of the Generosity Team. So our theme this year is honoring our past, building our future, and loving our connections. And yesterday was a wonderful experience that encompasses all of those things. We've come a long way in the Orlando community. We're a visible faith community that's a beacon for others. Our wish list this year is to fund a full-time DRE. And think of how that could enhance our connections, learning, and membership with that person on our team 100%. So I wanted to update you where we've come over the last month. And as of Friday, we have over $288,000 in pledges received. So yay for us. That's an increase over last year. Incredible. However, Debbie Downer here, that only represents 43% of our pledging units, folks, in the last month. So please, please, if you haven't pledged yet, do it this week. All right? We are formally wrapping up the Generosity campaign next Sunday, Easter Sunday, April 17th. So we really need to have your pledges in this week so that the BOT and Finance Committee can make the best decisions for our 22-23 budget. Remember that we rely only on us to carry on our ministries within the church as well as beyond. So please get your pledges in ASAP. Pledge soon, pledge generously. Now, if you have gotten your pledge in, we will be giving you a lovely thank you gift. We're going to have some drive-up events towards the end of the month, so please stay tuned for those details. And it's really worth pledging, I have to tell you. It's a really cool gift. So thank you very much.
Good morning. If you want to contribute to our sharing of joys and concerns for the week, you can send an email to joysandconcerns@orlandouu.org during the week so your joy or concern can be shared on Sunday. Additionally, if you're attending the service in person, you can also fill out a card at the registration table and hand it to an usher before the start of the service. We have several joys and sorrows this week to share. Laura Kraft reports her joy for the week was watching Karina casually share with her church community that she was going to an LGBTQ plus camp this summer. Laura reports that she herself comes from a damaging church experience where she was bullied and for offering and expressing support of gay marriage when she was Karina's age. And she now understands that that was probably an early expression of her sexuality. She is so happy to see her daughter confidently being herself with her church community, and she'll be humming along to David Bowie all week as she navigates her own changes. Larry Watchhorn has shared that a fall off a ladder a few weeks ago is leading to surgery tomorrow. He welcomes your light, your energy, and your cards as he heals. Ann Patton shares it is a joy for her to see the beautiful flowers that grace our services every Sunday. Every week is a special but silent treat, thoughtfully arranged and displayed, such as the sunflowers to honor the Ukraine. Thank you to the Flower Committee and all involved in providing these delightful flowers for us every week. Ben McKay is out of the hospital, and we were blessed to have his presence yesterday with us, and he's recovering at home. Sandy Baker is out of the hospital and recovering at home. And Di Silkwood continues at Parkview Rehab and welcomes your cards, flowers, visitors. Thank you.
In this sacred time and space, let us hold all those joys and sorrows that have been shared out loud and all those uttered wordlessly in the quiet places of tender hearts. Let us take time to breathe and to feel and simply to be together, a holy communion of hearts. What a privilege to be back here in the pulpit of your exquisite sanctuary after the joy and beauty, the love of yesterday's installation celebration. Thank you, Reverend Margalie, and all of you for your warm hospitality. As Linnea so beautifully introduced us, I am bringing to you this morning a message about Sabbath observance. And the essence of Sabbath is time set aside to connect, to commune with the sacred, to feel the very ground of being as each of us understands it. So the prayer I'm offering you this morning is aptly entitled Ground of Being, and it's by our Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. Knowing ourselves radiant, may we know God radiant, beautiful as a clear-eyed child, blinding us in glory. Knowing ourselves dark, may we know God dark, beautiful as sun-kissed skin, fertile as the deep, rich earth. God of the earth, Spirit of life, you are for us as the ground is for seed, warm and nurturing. You are our sacred birthplace. In you we sprout, take root, and grow. Like growing seeds, may we live into our radiance, our possibilities, our imaginings, our love. Amen. And now we will have a centering hymn. It's number 204, Come, O Sabbath Day, and I'll invite you to remain seated in a contemplative posture. This hymn may be new to some of you. It speaks to our theme. The words were offered were developed by a Reform Jewish rabbi in the 19th century. It is in our gray hymnal. Come, O Sabbath Day.
Now we invite you into the practice of generosity. Your financial support allows the many ministries of the First Unitarian Church of Orlando to thrive. You can make an offering online by going to orlandouu.org and hitting the pledge button in the upper right corner, or you can send a text or mail a check. The Adult Literacy League is our Share the Plate partner for this month of April. And we're delighted that this morning we have the Executive Director, Gina Solomon, here, and she's going to speak to us about how the Adult Literacy League empowers Central Floridians to be thriving members of our community through literacy and education. Gina.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity to meet you all in person. You've been so generous to our organization over the years, and it's absolutely wonderful to be able to see you and meet you in person. Our volunteers teach adults in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole counties to read and write and to speak English. They're serving as mentors. They're helping adults do amazing things like become U.S. citizens, like to improve their English so that they can communicate freely with their child's teacher and understand the medical instructions that they're given by their doctors. They're getting GEDs. They're starting college and technical school. Catherine Vaccaro is a longtime volunteer, and she works with a group of adults every week, helping them understand the news that's before them. They talk about current events. They talk about issues around the world, and we offer our students a safe and judgment-free place to learn and ask questions without shame, without embarrassment. And we are always, always, always in need of volunteers. Our volunteers are people with hearts to serve. They don't have, for the most part, backgrounds in education, just a desire to help on a one-to-one basis, or maybe a small group like Catherine does. But if anybody is interested in volunteering, we always have a waiting list of, at any given time, around 50 or 60 students in the area waiting to be volunteered. One of the good things that has come from the pandemic, probably one of the only good things, is it taught us the resiliency of our students and our staff and our volunteers especially. You can serve virtually if getting together in person isn't something you're comfortable with. So you can tutor via Zoom or FaceTime or in person. And so we invite you to reach out. Our website is adultliteracyleague.org, but you can reach out to Catherine if you have specific questions. And again, I really just want to say thank you so much for your generous support over so many years. And happy Sunday.
You may support the Adult Literacy League by finding a link to their organization in our weekly newsletter. Please let us know if you have donated directly to the League, and send a note to Gabby, our administrative assistant, so that we can keep track. And please give generously of both your time and treasure. Thank you.
I keep forgetting to officially point to our beautiful chalice here. I failed to mention it yesterday, and then this morning when we started, when I did the call to worship, I meant to point it out also. So as we begin again in love, here is our new beautiful chalice for our sanctuary. So feel free to come over, touch it. It was made specifically for us. I'm not saying no one else has something that looks like it, but but yes, so this is here a beautiful chalice. So. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Exodus 20, verses 8, 10, and 11.
May the Lord Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord, and keep them from a stranger's ways. May the Lord fulfill his Sabbath prayer for you. God send you loved ones who will care for you. May the Lord protect and defend you. May the Lord preserve you from pain. Favor them, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer. Amen.
Oh, goodness, thank you for that beautiful, beautiful song, Aubrey. Sabbath prayer from Fiddler on the Roof. The good-hearted folks that I serve in the small college town of Bridgewater, Massachusetts, were very excited to learn that I would be preaching here with you in Orlando this morning. They were so heartened in these hard times to be reminded in this tangible way that we are part of a broader faith movement of love and justice that spans the continent, indeed the globe, small and mighty as we are. So I extend to you on their behalf greetings of friendship and goodwill. My ministry in Bridgewater is part-time, which comes with advantages and disadvantages. I welcome the opportunity to worship with fellow UU congregations, such as I am doing this morning. My family appreciates that I have a Sunday or two off each month. On the other hand, one of the biggest challenges is setting boundaries and keeping them. Like so many occupations in our modern world, ministry, whether full-time or part-time, comes with never-ending responsibilities and opportunities, not to mention intractable questions, unanswered emails, and dinging text messages. The fire hose never lets up. The only way to get a break is, well, to take one. Easier said than done. As part of my effort to keep a part-time schedule, I adopted a practice I learned from several ministerial colleagues. The auto signature at the bottom of my outgoing emails includes this noteworthy line: Mondays are my Sabbath. Meaning what? Sounds important, more profound, more ministerial than simply Mondays are my day off. Mondays are my Sabbath. When I typed that line into my email signature, I have to admit I had no lofty spiritual ambitions. I merely wanted to set an expectation among the congregants of Bridgewater that I would not be responding to their emails and phone inquiries on Mondays. I wanted to establish a boundary between the congregation and me, between my professional ministry and my personal life. But in truth, keeping Sabbath is meant to be a way to set and honor a much more significant boundary, the one between the mundane and the sacred. Observing a day of Sabbath invites a break from the mundane demands and routines of daily living so that we may rest in the sacred grace of being. The Jewish journalist and teacher George Robinson puts it this way: instead of creating the world anew, we are at one with the world created. We are at one with the world created. Like the God of the ancient Israelites who created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh, the Sabbath is our opportunity for a day of rest, a gift of a day of rest. No creating, no destroying, no building or tearing down, no competing or mastering, no winning or losing, no buying or selling. Just being at one with the world created, resting in the grace of being. When I so glibly noted that Monday would be my Sabbath, I glossed over the powerful history and the powerful potential of Sabbath observance. Indeed, it goes all the way back to the foundations of the Jewish and Christian traditions from which our own Unitarian Universalist tradition evolved, all the way back to Mount Sinai, when God revealed the 10 Commandments to Moses, as recounted in the book of Exodus, and included this one: remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. I have to admit, my Mondays don't feel very holy. I don't think I spend them in the way God or the human scribes of Exodus had in mind. Yes, I take a break from my official work, but I'm usually up by 6:30 to walk the dog and drive my daughter Carly to school. Since I have set a boundary with the congregation, it's my time to catch up on personal and family obligations: bill paying, laundry, taxes, insurance claims, home repairs. Most Mondays I find myself in the post office or the bank, at the grocery store, the pharmacy, a doctor's office, or the dentist. I try not to check my work email, but that dinging phone alert is just sometimes too great a temptation. What am I coming back to tomorrow? By the time I've ticked a handful of tasks from my to-do list, I'm off to pick Carly up from school and walk the dog again. Pretty mundane stuff. My case is not unique. Whatever one's day off from work, including the conventional weekend, the pressures are the same. The demands of modern life never stop. Even for retired folks, contemporary American culture makes little accommodation for the observance of a Sabbath day. While schools and some workplaces are closed for the so-called weekend, the economy never rests. The vast majority of retailers and restaurants must open to compete. In a global economy, production and distribution of food and energy simply cannot cease, nor can the news cycle. Even our kids can't catch a break. School may be out, but increasingly the activities of childhood are organized into structured activities that spill into the weekend: competitive team sports, private music lessons, art classes, volunteerism, and part-time jobs. In an ever more competitive world, many parents feel pressured to give their kids an early edge. I sometimes lament that we have professionalized childhood. There's so little time for creative, unstructured play, for daydreaming, stargazing, neighborhood escapades, getting lost in a good book, not to mention church going and Sunday school. So little time for the sacred. As a culture, we have no agreed upon boundary between the mundane and the sacred. All time seems to be mundane, centered on the concerns of the human world without reference to the sacred. Those of us who long for spiritual connection and renewal are left to our own devices, sometimes literally a meditation app, or we find a yoga class or a walking trail in the woods. Though here we are at church, so there is that. Yet especially in the Northeast, where I serve, church-going can feel countercultural, and it's hardly a day-long affair. We churchgoers are a dwindling minority. Many families find it conflicts with youth sports and the like. We find ourselves squeezing church in among all the other have-tos of our hyper-scheduled lives. There is no shared cultural boundary between the mundane and the sacred. The hamster wheel never stops. How does one keep Sabbath in such a world? What does it mean to keep Sabbath in 21st century American life? Is it even possible, desirable? In my view, we dismiss the Sabbath at significant cost, peril even, to our spiritual well-being. Sabbath observance is an off-ramp from the hamster wheel of secular living, from the pressures and demands, the routines, even the mindless habits and impulses. A time to breathe mindfully, to wonder and reflect, to notice the splendor of creation, to connect with that which we hold sacred, that which we find most ultimately meaningful and orienting in this wild existence. To savor the grace of being alive and conscious of it all, to be at one with the world created. As a spiritual being, I need a Sabbath, and I believe we all do. And the thing is, Sabbath observance has never been easy or straightforward in any cultural context. Throughout its history, religious leaders in both Judaism and later in Christianity have held different views on how best to observe the Sabbath and when and for how long. Judaism has always maintained the biblical commandment to observe Shabbat on Saturday, the seventh day, but Christianity shifted its observance to Sunday, the day of Christ's resurrection, the Lord's Day, possibly as a way to distance itself from Judaism. Some religious historians have suggested that it may have been a tactic of Christian church leaders to facilitate the conversion of Roman pagans who were already worshiping on Sundays. With the fall of the last temple in Jerusalem and the dispersion of the Israelites, the observance of Shabbat shifted from temple to home. The rabbinic tradition of Judaism delineates specific home-centered liturgies with candle-lighting rituals, prayers and blessings, shared meals, singing around the family table. And for many, nowadays, it includes the Sabbath prayer that we heard sung so beautifully by Aubrey, a prayer for the children. That came much later in the Jewish tradition. The Christian focus on the celebration of the Eucharist or Holy Communion means that Sabbath observance in Christianity has most often necessitated church-going. And in many historic contexts, including the Puritan era of our own UU ancestors, lengthy church attendance was required by law, with steep penalties for disobedience. The New England Puritans took a stringent approach. To comply with the commandment to rest, they focused on prohibited activities, all the things one couldn't do on the Lord's Day in order to achieve spiritual rest. The things not allowed. The only allowed thing was prayer, and it was enforced. The Puritans gave Sabbath a bad rap. Yet other times and contexts have emphasized pleasure as essential to Jewish observance. As I already described, the rabbinic tradition of Judaism outlines festive meals, the blessing and drinking of wine, joyful singing with friends. My point is that Sabbath observance has always adapted according to the cultural norms of its time and place. So it's right that we too should adapt it to our own context as 21st century Unitarian Universalists. We don't have to give it up simply because it no longer fits our current cultural conditions or contemporary religious understandings. We can shape Sabbath observance to meet those conditions. So what might a practice of Sabbath keeping look like for contemporary UUs? What might it look like for you? It's safe to say that it won't look like one thing. Unitarian Universalism is a pluralistic faith. We accept and celebrate diverse theological beliefs and spiritual practices. It's also safe to say that a full Sabbath day is impractical, if not impossible, for most Americans today. Our world doesn't accommodate it. So what if we set aside not a full day, not one day, but a few hours, once or twice, or even 3 times each week? Perhaps one of those times could be devoted to church worship. Another time to a weekly dinner around a table with family, friends, and neighbors with intention, candles and flowers, favorite recipes, no dinging electronic devices, a blessing to begin the meal, a song to close it. Another couple of Sabbath hours may be observed as a mindful walk on a wooded trail, dancing around the house to a favorite playlist, a weekly coffee drinking ritual with a best friend. The possibilities are limitless. We can get creative with our Sabbath practices, but we do need some guiding principles. It's too easy to default to errand running and to-do list ticking, as I well know. We need guidelines to help us bring intention and discipline to our Sabbath keeping practices. And we can find that guidance in the wisdom of the ages. Through all of these evolutions and changes of Sabbath observance over the millennia, 3 things have remained constant. The Sabbath is a time to experience rest, holiness, and joy. Rest, holiness, and joy. The first 2 are prescribed as far back as Moses in the stone tablets inscribed on Mount Sinai. On the Sabbath day, God commands you shall do no work. Rest. Take a break from labor, from the have-tos and habits of routine daily life. Get off the hamster wheel. Rest does not have to entail bodily rest, though it may if that's what your spirit needs. It may also mean hiking or running or cycling, music, gardening, creative arts, so long as the activity is not a have-to, but something set aside from daily demands that feeds your spirit. Next is holiness. This can be hard for UUs. Remember the Sabbath by keeping it holy. While the Sabbath is a time of rest from labor, it is simultaneously a time to awaken the spirit, to rouse and welcome our own sweet souls. During your Sabbath, connect with the sacred, which requires that you have an understanding of what you hold sacred. If that word doesn't fit your sensibilities, consider meaningfulness. Connect with what you hold most meaningful in life, what grounds you and orients you, what makes life worth living, what gives you a sense of belonging, what moves you. Meditate on such things. Pray on such things. Reflect with faithful companions about such things, and engage spiritual practices that support your connection with the sacred, like the meditation we experienced with Linnea, maybe a gratitude practice, journal writing, devotional reading, time in nature. The third and last principle of Sabbath observance was not specifically commanded in the scriptures, but it is one that comes up again and again through the ages. Joy. Enjoy your Sabbath. Experience pleasure. Appreciate the abundant blessings of being alive. Even the Puritans and the Calvinists understood deep down that the Sabbath was a source of joy. The stern and fiery Great Awakening preacher Jonathan Edwards said this of the Sabbath: God made it to be a joyful day. The Christian Sabbath is one of the most precious enjoyments of the visible church. George Robinson says that Shabbat is also a time of joy. Judaism is most decidedly not an ascetic religion. Enjoy your Sabbath. Rest, holiness, and joy. These are the three essential ingredients of Sabbath keeping. All three must come together to renew our spirits. And I'm going to give it a try. Tomorrow is Monday. The bills are piled up in my home office. Too many emails to count are awaiting responses. Carly has school, and the grocery list is going longer. I will get to those things in due time. But here I am, in the glorious Florida sunshine, in your lush and beautiful city, with my cherished friend Margalie. My heart is full with the love and faith of the remarkable community you have built here at First U. I've got a few hours in the morning before my flight home, and Monday is my Sabbath, so I am going to take time, sacred time, for rest, for holiness, for joy. I hope you will join me in your own time and your own way. May it be so. May you make it so. And now we are going to sing joyfully with holiness and rest in our hearts and spirits. Number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our stories from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
In closing, a good word from the poet Wendell Berry, who had a lot to say about Sabbath, in fact. The love and the work of friends and lovers belong to the task and are its health. Rest and rejoicing belong to the task and are its grace. Let tomorrow come tomorrow. Not by your will is the house carried through the night. Go in peace, friends. May you know rest and holiness and joy until we meet again. And I look forward to that occasion. Amen.
Please read with me the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.